Okay, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you're listening to this. This is the Fueling Growth podcast. My name's Phil Seeva, and I am your host of this podcast. And I'm joined here today in the office/studio by Steve Gyseman and Martyn King. Gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to the podcast.
Afternoon.
Well, it is good afternoon here.
Well, it is good afternoon at the moment.
Yeah.
Yes, we should say that. I should Fuel is your business. You are the co-founders of the business, but Steve, you are the I've got it here. Business Development Director is your official title, which means that you are responsible for pushing the business on. And Martyn, you are Britain's best boss. That is fair to say, is it not?
Accurate. Thank you, Phil.
I think we should qualify that. This podcast today is all about you guys and the 4-day week trial that you've done. What happened as a result of it is that it happened to have appeared in numerous national newspapers where you have been referred to as Britain's best boss. So that's a title you are taking now and sticking with, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Steve, you happy with this, presumably?
Well, we know that some of the tabloids that line appeared in never lie. So it has to be true.
Well, I just worry you don't feel insecure at all about this, Steve.
I've got a counselling session booked for later on this afternoon. It's fine.
Right, let's get down to brass tacks with this. I did some research into this. You sent a post out about a few months ago on your website, and I read that. And the very first line on that website was a question, and it was, "Could a 4-day working week be the future?" Steve, what's the answer?
So far, yes.
Martyn?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's a good start. I mean, we should say you're 2 months into it. You're happy with the way it's going? Okay. All right. Well, look, can you give me some detail? The trial, as I said, started in October. It's going well. Can you give me a bit of detail on how it works, the sort of the mechanics of it? Do you want to go, Martyn?
Yeah, sure. I can pick that up because we need to be open. It would be 5 days a week as usual. And we need to maintain that level of sort of openness, if you like, if not more, depending on what clients need. It's clear to us that we couldn't do it as a in the way in some other companies do it. They will do a close on a Friday. And then everybody's off on a Friday. That wouldn't work for us. So the way it works here is that about half the team are off on a Wednesday and half the team are off on a Friday.
So essentially, it doesn't feel like the business is closed any day of the working week. If you're a client and you phone up, you're going to get through.
Absolutely.
Right.
Fuel is open 5 days a week. And indeed for, as we say to clients who have our mobile phone numbers, Fuel is open 7 days a week.
And this trial has included the two of you as well?
Yep, we're both off on a Wednesday.
And we should say, it's you did correct me earlier, Steve, it's not a day off, it's a rest day.
Absolutely.
Right,
Absolutely.
okay. And have you done much resting on your day off?
Rest can take many forms. I would include in my resting just doing things around the home that I've put off for months on end. The mental enjoyment I get from cleaning my shed is unbelievable. Just knowing that I'm doing something constructive that others just wouldn't have time to do. Also, more time at the driving range, hitting a few golf balls, that's really nice as well. So it's getting that balance that works for each individual. I'm actually struggling that you kept a straight face when you said cleaning out your shed is something that you want to do. But hey, whatever floats your boat, Steve. Yeah, I actually enjoy it.
I think, talking to other members of the team, it's definitely one that they use for life admin, as they call it. So, if you're organised enough to bundle all of that things, it like Christmas shopping maybe at the moment, then they appreciate that time. And then for me, it's been very restful.
Then look, we can't go much further without talking about the sort of media furore, the storm that sort of engulfed this whole thing when you started it. Because let's be honest, you can't have expected that was going to happen, but it did. Can you tell us sort of how that came about? Presumably you weren't expecting it.
No, well, not to the level it went to. I mean, obviously we spoke to a few local journalists we know and love, and they were very interested in the story, and obviously that story went out, and then some of the nationals got in touch, and we were happy to give them an update on how it's going.
I love it when a story gets out of control like that. And it was genuinely out of control, wasn't it? It just got picked up because it was syndicated. Next thing you know, your face, Martyn, is everywhere. Yours less so, Steve.
Indeed.
Some you win.
But, move on.
But maybe you're not, that's because you're not Britain's best boss. I'm not rubbing it in. I'm just saying.
Thanks, Phil.
Now, where did it appear? Do you want to just because it was all over the tabloids where I saw it.
Well, full credit to Plymouth Live. It started there,
Right.
and then from there it went to the Mail. So it doesn't get much bigger than that in terms of online audience. And then
Metro, I saw it in.
the
Sun. It's not bad, is it?
I think what it proved to me is that there's a real thirst out there for good news stories.
Yeah.
We switch the news on a daily basis. It feels bleak. It feels tough. So I think when a good news story, circulates, people do pick it up because people do want to read about proactive, good things that are happening.
And I think it's important to reiterate that this was not by any stretch a PR stunt. This is something that you genuinely wanted to do for the well-being of your staff. Is that correct?
100%. I think that's a really important point to make. This is not about PR. The PR that we've received has been great. It's never about that. It was never actually initially necessarily about a 4-day week. All we wanted to do was put employee welfare at the heart of our business. We're only as good as our team. We're only as good as our staff. We want to look after them in the best way. We feel a happy, rested staff. Great for staff retention, it's great for staff recruitment, and good for our clients because they build those long-term relationships with the same people. So it was all about how we benefit the business, but just by putting staff at the heart of that, what could we do as a company to drive that? We know that a 4-day week isn't right for every business. Cards on the table, we're still in a trial period. We don't know if so far it feels great, it's working. I'm sure we'll talk more about that later. But we wanted to try this to find out if it's right for our people and right for our business, and so far it is.
Yeah, I think something. Sorry, Martyn, you were going to say.
Well, yeah, and we know it's not right for every business because there were loads of comments on the Mail online saying it wouldn't work in certain industries. So therefore,
like a hospital. Look, Steve touched on something there about he nearly went there in terms of performance. If you've got a happier team, chances are they're going to perform better. Have you seen an impact on the performance on the company as a whole? Has that? And I'm asking for an honest answer here, and I appreciate it might be difficult to answer that honestly. But has there been a positive improvement to the performance of the business, or have you seen a bit of a step back from that?
Well, I can go with that because I checked some figures just before we did this. So we're up on where we were this time last year. So things are going well. Fair to say we were up prior to that too. So it's not purely because of a 4-day week we're up. That would be misleading. I think in the national trials, that's ongoing. I think there are 70 companies in the national trial. We're not one of those, so there must be more. They got to about the halfway mark in a 6-month trial, I think, and 88% of them said it was going well for them. And yeah, I'd certainly include us in that bracket.
I mean, something we should touch on before we go much further. And you were very generous, Martyn, in terms of referencing people or someone particular that was a local business that you didn't steal the idea of them, but you sort of borrowed some thinking from them. Is that something? This isn't a brand new idea, I guess, is the point.
No, not at all. Very grateful to a number of people really, but certainly Trevor Worth at Portcullis Legals was certainly an early pioneer of the 4-day week and gave us some invaluable advice. So full credit to him for that. And actually, we probably feel in the same way. We're quite happy to share this information in a forum like this, really, so that, you know, if more people are interested, we're happy to take their questions and spread the word a little bit. And plenty of people are interested. Pretty much every conversation I have with somebody will check in.
I mean, Steve, you said earlier before we started that you were at the do yesterday, and that's what people were talking about.
Completely. People were congratulating us on our, on trying to pioneer this. And as Martin said, this is not an original idea. It's something that we wanted to bring to the business, but people see it as a brave, innovative move. I'm very curious as to how it's working for us, and then we'll replay and look to try and apply the thinking into their business. And the conversation I've been having with people is say it's not necessarily a 4-day week, because clearly that doesn't work for everybody. But just putting the welfare of your employees in the heart of your business, in the heart of that conversation is where to start, and that could spiral in any direction, not just a 4-day week.
Yeah, I mean, and again, you touched on something there that's important, Martin. How have the staff reacted to this?
Yeah, it's been look. They've been really good. We're really fortunate that we've got a very settled team, who and some of them have already did a 4-day week working pattern in the pandemic. So we had some data there as well, and they had some experience of it. So they kind of had a like a trial run almost, if you like. So they're enjoying it, but getting used to it at the same time. And it's important to make that distinction around getting used to it. We're like a couple of months in. I'm going to speak personally. For 20 odd years, I've worked a 5-day week. It takes some adjustment to put your pen and your laptop down on a Tuesday evening and go, that's me done till Thursday, knowing full well you've still got lots to do by the end of the week. So that takes some adjusting to. And again, speaking personally, I think I'm probably just about getting there from a working week flow perspective.
I think you're right. I mean, if you've been doing it for such a long time, you sort of think, well, it seems a bit odd. But I will say the same thing. Whenever you're off, don't take time off when everyone's off, like at a weekend. If you're going to play golf, play when everyone else is working. It just feels that bit better. And, it feels nicer if everyone else is working, I'm sure. Now, listen, Steve, as much as the staff are important, you can't go much further without asking what the clients think. How have the clients reacted to it?
Clients have been really supportive. They've backed the initiative. They like what we're trying to do for our staff. In terms of judging success, clearly one of the barometers will be client satisfaction. I'm delighted to say that so far, I'm certainly not aware of any negativity from any clients whatsoever, which is fantastic. Testimony to how the team dovetails and works together, communicates, passes batons, etc., so that client delivery doesn't suffer in any way. So it's a key barometer. It's one we're very live to, but delighted so far, no negativity. But a lot of clients very happy to see what we're doing.
Yeah, and can I ask, did you actually consult or talk to them in advance about this?
Yeah, we certainly spoke to a number of our key clients and said we're considering it. Really, it was really interesting, actually. I suppose again, we're lucky to have quite a settled client base who we share a lot of values with. A lot of them, so a lot of them were. Their first reaction was they're genuinely pleased that we were looking at it. And so, but we obviously spoke to them a little bit more about the logistics of that, what that means for certain people who work on their accounts. They were very supportive, which was great to see.
I mean, for me, it's always felt as if it's very much linked to mental health and well-being, this. And yes, that is there's a commercial angle to that, which is if they're better looked after, that there will be better performance from the team as a whole. But I like the idea that you are putting your money where your mouth is. I think that's probably a fair phrase in this instance, that you've actually said, well, actually, we want people to enjoy their working life better, so we're going to do this for them. And it's interesting you say about staff retention, because I imagine if someone, let's say you had a really good member of staff and you didn't want to lose them, imagine going to another job and they go, well, you've got to work a 5-day week. And they go, well, I'm not used to working a 5-day week. It's quite a clever move, I have to say.
And that's exactly the thinking. We want to keep our people. They're great people. And one way of doing that, we felt, was to offer them a 4-day week. So, for that very reason, if they sought employment elsewhere, the chances are they'll probably have to do a 5-day week. It's also been
really do that
precisely, and it's also been a really handy recruitment tool as well, because we've made a quite senior recruitment or senior hire, and it's fair to say that the 4-day week was a compelling part of the offer.
Well, I mean, one of the things I was going to say as well is that I think when you first trialled it or you first started it, I don't think anyone knew how it was going to go, but it has gone pretty well so far. We have to be honest that December, and you said this to me off camera, December is a quietish month, or an odd month anyway. I don't think it's quiet because I think everyone's trying to get all the stuff done before Christmas for some strange reason. But it is a slightly odd month in that people are bouncing in and around of things anyway. But I imagine that's a very valuable time to have an extra day of rest during whatever you want to do, as you said, Martyn. Bit of Christmas shopping and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Particularly this time of year, I think. But December's a kind of an awkward month in terms of analysis, if you like, for what we're doing from a performance perspective on it. So I'm glad that we've had a number of weeks leading up into December so that people can get in the groove of what a 4-day week feels like. That's been good to get a lot of that in at this stage, by this stage of the year.
It will form a really interesting part of the trial. As I say, December isn't quite like other months. So again, that it will probably test profitability and everything else more than any other month. So really keen to see the results, and I think it'll be fine, and I think we'll have a good month and move on into January, where the trial hopefully will continue.
Well, I hope so. For your point of view, I mean, something I was going to say as well is that we weren't originally meant to do this podcast at this stage. This is the third podcast that we've done, and it wasn't going to be on this subject. It was going to be something completely different, and we were going to have different guests here. But actually, looking at it, it was important that we did it, because you couldn't, avoid what has become a pretty big story, not just in the Plymouth business community, but the wider business community around the country. That much press coverage has shone a light on you. So it was almost as if we said, okay, let's talk about the 4-day week trial now and bump everything back a little bit, because now is a key time to talk about it. So just to explain, that's the reason we're talking about it now. I want to ask you one really simple question at the end, which we'll come back to in a minute. But one of the questions I want to ask is, correct me if I'm wrong, everyone has sort of different days, don't they? Or there's two pools of teams of people. Is that correct?
Yeah. So about half of us are off on a Wednesday, and about half of us are off on a Friday. But those teams are carefully matched, if you like. So we call it a buddying system. So if a client wants something, there's something urgent going on their website, there's somebody in on a Wednesday to do that. But there's equally somebody in on a Friday to do that. And there are a number of skills matches going on there. So those teams are quite carefully selected.
The point I'm getting to is that, Martyn, you have Wednesday as a rest day, and Steve, you have a Wednesday as a rest day. That's fair, isn't it? But you also get together occasionally on those days, don't you? Is there not a sadness to that you just can't be apart? It seems a bit odd to me.
Well, we've not managed it as often as we thought we would have. But Steve and I are good mates anyway. Yeah. So
I've got a shed to clean.
Yeah, you've been helping him with his shed. That's what you should be doing. That's what he's getting to here. You need to be going around and helping with the shed. Right, let's just finish off with one really, really simple question and answer. And it's only a one-word answer from each of you. Martyn, you can go first as Britain's best boss, and Steve, you can go second. But without preempting the situation, 4-day week, will it continue after the trial?
Yes.
Steve?
Absolutely.
I think that's a perfectly good note to end on it. I wish you all the very best with the rest of the trial. I personally think it's been a huge success, I have to say, and I'm glad that we've been able to talk about it here today on the on our podcast. So thank you very much for sitting down and spending the time.